Before we begin, thank you very much to Technology Without Goggles for joining the Patreon campaign. I don't know why I shout out these things sometimes. I just go with it, and I hope it's not going to get me in trouble down the line. But thank you very much. Thank you for the support. I genuinely appreciate it. I'm taking a bit of a break today from Transformers because I'm going to do the news roundup tomorrow. That's tons of Transformers that we can talk about. So we need to talk about the latest Kamen Rider because now we've got a ton of info for it. It's that magical time of year where one rider is on his way out and the new rider is starting to get hyped up. Welcome, Kamen Rider Gotchard, our very first card rider in quite a while. I don't think we've had a... No, yeah, I don't think we've had a card rider since decade. Man, it's been a minute. So the gimmick is back. We are using scanning cards again. So let's get started. Let's put a little preliminary thing on this, and we'll just kind of talk like the general rundown of the show. So we are dealing with artificial life forms called Kamen. Were created by collecting the best alchemy techniques and are made to imitate all things that exist in the world. There are 101 chemis in total. They are stored in Ride Chemi cards. However, these are released into the world because, of course, it is. Otherwise, we really wouldn't have a show. We have a high schooler named Hotaro Ichinose, who is entrusted with the driver, the Gotchard driver, of course, and given the mission to recollect all 101 chemis. He is on a almost literal Pokemon hunt. So we have found out that if a chemi encounters a human with compassion and someone with a good heart, it resonates with them, and that is what happens with Hotaro, who gets two on his side to become his base form, which is Steam Hopper. We're back to hoppers, baby. But if it's combined with a human filled with malice, then you can create a Kaijin Malgam, or I've also seen the translation Phantom Malgam. Not sure which one it is. I'm just kind of going off of whatever at this point. The writer is the same guy behind Nexus, the Gridman franchise, which is a plus, and Kamen Rider Saber, which is not a plus. The one who did like the two girl spinoffs recently for Jean and Aguilera and the Girls remix, also a writer on the show. It's directed by the same one who did Build, so that's promising. And yeah, and we are set for a September 3rd debut. All right, so a little bit more than a month away from the new rider. Okay, so that's the nuts and bolts of it. That's what we have so far. So let's just get into the mix of it. Let's actually take a look at this guy, and not gonna lie, it's pretty. It's a really pretty rider. So Gotchard takes us back to some classic design tropes. We've got the return of the teal blue, which I don't think we've seen on a main rider in quite a long time. And it does kind of harken back to Ichigo. It harkens back to the original, new Rider 1 color. But he's definitely got a lot more going on with it. He's back to a bug motif. So the bug can be seen not only on the chest, where it looks like almost like a ladybug opened up, but also the head itself obviously has the antenna and the eyes. It's interesting that it's a pair of goggles on the top of his head. I feel like this is like the ultimate form of a Digi-destined leader at this point. He looks good though. Like, I really like the look of the rider. I like the return to the bug motif. I really like the overall lines of the design. I like the idea of like it's using a lot of arrows in the design, and I like the idea of the visor being those arrows. It actually looks really cool. It's a good design. Like, it's a really nice design. We can take a look more at that motif a little bit. There it is in natural color where it's not being glared out. He's got a muffler too. Oh, we got a rider with a muffler. Oh, I love it. All right. We can see that his weapon is also using the arrow motif. It uses cards as well. We also notice he's got one on his left arm. So it's at the same angle, or well, I mean, it's at an angle is what it is. I was gonna say the same as like the brace throttle for drive, but I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I think it's the opposite direction. Either way, he's got a card holder on his wrist, which I assume is how he activates his finisher in this one, which are called fevers in this series, by the way. He still looks good. He still looks really good. I'm not going to get over that. We got a quick look at what his rider kick looks like too, which is a straight through flying kick. That actually looks cool. It's very Liu Kang, isn't it? It looks good so far. Now, naturally, because this is just the early teasers, we haven't seen what the main rider looks like out of suit yet, and we have not seen the henshin sequence yet. That all comes in good time. You know, they saved the henshin for episode 1, so you're not going to see it until September. But we do get a little bit of personality in some of the shots for this show. It seems like, and I think this kind of harkens back to the fact that it's a high schooler that we are focusing on for this series. It does kind of feel like they're going back to a much lighter main hero, which is a big departure from what we have been experiencing with Geats, where the main writer is much more serious and more, trying to go for like the badass style of writer, whereas this one just kind of seems like Joe Schmo got his hands on a rider belt, which is kind of endearing. It's kind of endearing. It's a nice switch up. And he still looks good. They showed off a few of his poses too. So we've got like what I believe is going to be his official pose. Things like that. We got a quick look at his ride machine too, which I see the arrow motif in the center, but there's like between the silver bits on the sides, these white things going up next to the arrow, and like these little like silver pieces going down just below the headlight. I swear this has a cat motif. I could be totally off base on that, and I've just been on the internet too long, and I can just see cats in anything, but it feels like a cat, all right? So it feels like his bike is cat motifed. I could be completely wrong, but I'm just speculating here. That's what the fun of this video is. Just kind of observe and speculate and see what details we can pick out, right? We did get a look at his first form change, which looks pretty cool and puts him in a more traditional hero red shade. Can I pull up the name of this real quick? Appare Skelbo. Appare Skibo. Appare Skibo. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I haven't heard it enough because there's really only one. There's only one thing right now that actually pronounces it, and it's using the belts noises, which is really exaggerated and really loud. So I can't quite make out what it's supposed to sound like. Point being, yeah, he's going to have a lot of form changes. I'm going to show you why here in a minute. But first off, we have to talk about who else showed up. This boy. He showed up in the trailers, and yeah, so this is Valverado. I love the name. Valverado, which is what the current translation of it is. Keep in mind, in Japan, with the L's and R's being a little bit amorphous, let's say. We don't have I don't have an exact pronunciation on that just yet. So it could be pronounced different. For now, Valverado will work, and which is a cool sounding name, cool looking character. Now it's important to note he's not labeled a Kamen rider. We do see a card holder on his belt, so he feels like he's going to be in the vein of what's more typical, like almost like your Blood Stark and kind of vibe, where it's rider-esque, but not technically a rider. And we've had a ton of villains over the years. They seem to overall prefer villains who have Kamen Rider-esque traits to them. It's just rare when they go as far as just saying like, hey, they have a belt of their own. And of course, they've kind of got that a little bit in the current series too, in Geats. So that's, again, not an unfamiliar motif to go to. He looks amazing, though. I love how he looks. Here's a close-up. I love the weathering on it. He looks like he's been through it already. You know, like if Gotchard is brand new, this guy looks like he's been around for like a decade already and has been beaten up the entire time. We have no idea who he is. Don't know if he's a friend or foe. He strikes me as like a villain writer type, but he might be a rogue hero. We don't know. That's kind of the mystery that we were leading up. We do know that he has a gun blade, apparently. It looks vaguely gun blade. I'm only assuming that it's gun blade because, A, the purple area looks like a blade, and it does seem to have a scope on it. And this area down at the bottom does seem to look like it plays at an angle, which would tell me, yeah, he's it's Gunblade. I'm going Gunblade here. But it does use the cards too. So this is going to be obviously someone who's also after all the Chemi cards. We're probably going to get a lot who are after all of them. And keep in mind how many writers pop up in these shows nowadays. There's going to be a lot that are after these who are going to split up these cards between them. And it's still going to be our hero has to get all 101. So let's take a look at Arsenal really quick. Gotchard Driver. When we first saw the leak that showed just a stack of these on a table, I felt like I was looking out of like a sci-fi movie's prop. You know, it looked like some like high-tech PDF thing that would like be scanning alien organisms. I guess it's kind of vaguely PDF in design, kinda. I mean, it looks like an iPhone. It looks like an iPhone screen. Do not be surprised if there's a Gotchard branded iPhone holder in Japan that just looks exactly like this. Not going to shock me in the least. So, we are going Kamen Rider double with this because it takes 2 cards to transform. One in the left, one in the right. The card designs are fascinating because, like, when I first saw these, I just thought, like, well, that's a weird, like, interesting kind of design. I'm not sure what it means. It took my brain like 5 seconds to figure out, oh, it's the mask cut in half on opposite sides. Cool, cool. So both go in. And the belt actually has a function to light up to show the print on the back of the card. I don't know if it's shining through or if it's just a light effect that only makes the outline of the mask on the back glow. But either way, you open up the sides of this, and it pushes the 2 cards together to form the full helmet in the middle, and the belt itself completes the look with the mouth and the eyes, which stay consistent throughout all the different designs, apparently. It's a neat effect. It's a really neat effect to think that, like, that's going to work with... I love these kind of gimmicks where it's going to work with any card you can do. And if you can figure out exactly what in that print is causing it to glow like that and actually work as a functioning like visual trick, you can make your own. I could have like a TJOmega symbol, like big, bold in the middle of this thing, if I knew how to print exactly the right way to make it light up. And that's kind of a cool prospect. I kind of like the thought of that. So yes, it's actually a pretty cool gimmick. What makes me concerned is that it is using, card scanning tricks, which is what the Deca Driver was about. And the Deca Driver was kind of known of being pretty fragile with that kind of technology. It's been a while since Decade. Hopefully they've shored it up since then and they can prevent it from being, problematic over the long term. That's my hope anyway, because it does look really cool and unique. I'm trying not to go into Kamen Rider as much as I used to, because cost, import shipping is a pain and very, very expensive. I do know there's a US release of the Gotchard Driver coming. I might go for that just to try and save the shipping cost a little bit. But it does look cool. And it looks like it would be fun to mess around with. And the fact that apparently it's going to have 101 different cards it can recognize is kind of crazy. You can see, let's see another angle. And you can see this where it is able to actually change the face between what's on the card, and then the actual face of it always stays the same, which is a really cool design touch. Let's see. And then, so, and just little examples here. Here's the 2 cards that are required to form that one I'm probably not pronouncing correctly. Appare Skibo. So I'm naming my next D&D character Appare Skibo. Just saying it right now. What's interesting here is that the cards are marked 2 and 8. There are actual scores to these cards. Now, spoiler alert, if you saw the ones that form Steam Hopper, they are 1 and 9, which means the combinations look like they're always going to form 10, once you put the two together. So we got a little bit of a theme here, and I want you to keep that theme in mind. Keep that theme in mind, all right? So they come in packs. This is where this is going to get really dangerous and problematic. Trying to complete a collection of 101 of these things, even if you have a year to buy these packs and try and complete a full set of 101, sounds like it's going to be really, really dangerous and really, really difficult. Also, I'm not sure how convenient packs of cards are going to be for this, for us fans who have to import all of this. Of course, they're pretty small, so cheaper to ship, I guess, unless you're buying a whole booster box of it. But does mean there's going to be a lot of extras kicking around. So, yeah, get with friends, I would say, for this rider. Buy what you can, split them amongst yourselves. That might be the best way to go about it. Yeah, and these are the Kemi cards. Yeah, as you can see, they're planning a lot of them, even though these are mostly just copy-pasted from the same, 10. And they start getting a little bit interesting. That barcode looks awfully familiar. They showed this off too, which shows us 9 different combinations, 9 different potential forms, which does cover cards 1 through 9 on both sides, so that makes sense. And we can get a little bit. I see one with a samurai motif. They all seem to have a visor on the head, either a visor or goggles that are on the head, which is kind of cool. I see one with a motorcycle motif. I see one that seems to have a keyboard as a motif on the head. We have some interesting designs. To look forward to. So that's a cool little teaser of what's to come. So it looks like he's got 9 base forms. So when I make the comparison to double, that's pretty much where we're going here. There's no mixing forms that we see so far yet. I'm sure that's just a natural progression step. We might see that at some point, like an asymmetrical half and half thing. Don't know what happens when you put 2 incompatible cards together. Guess we'll find out. So we've seen the design of the card's barcode. We've seen the number 10 popping up. So I guess with all these mentions, yes, we have to address rumors. And the rumor of this series is that he's back. Somehow again, he is back. So the rumor mill and the leaks have already said that the actor for Decade is involved in the series somehow. And the toy leaks apparently have already... I couldn't find the toy leaks in time for this video. But apparently, according to those said toy leaks, we actually do have a Kamen Rider Decade themed rider on the way. A rider that uses past riders as his power. Keep in mind, Gotchard is the 5th of the Reiwa era riders, which means technically it is an anniversary season. It's not implausible for Decade to show up this time. It's going to be weird, but it is absolutely doable. So the rumor is that it's not completely like normal Decade, but it is a rider based on Decade, and it still might be the same actor, from what it sounds like. But it sounds like it's using a completely new belt, a completely new weapon. It's all based on legend riders. And if it's more Decade in theme, that would actually be pretty cool. I don't know if you've seen the most recent visuals of Decade. Number one, the original suit's getting pretty trash at this point. But also, no one really liked Decade 21. So if they're going to go another route and give it another go for an upgraded Decade form, or at least a modernized Decade form, I would be all for that. So that, again, has me interested in the show. Aside from just the part there where it looks really cool. So that's the overall look. Gotchard is really promising. It's got some very classic motifs to it in a way I really didn't expect out of the Reiwa riders. It's got a lot of different, unique looks to it too, which is also kind of, that's kind of cool as well. I don't know if the Decade rumor is true. It would be cool. If not, this has still been pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I'm cautiously optimistic for it. We will find out. It's the only thing that kind of gives me irk is like one of the Saber writers is involved. We'll see. But in either case, thank you guys for watching. I hope you are looking forward to the new Kamen Rider as much as I am, or more so. We will find out. And let's stay tuned to find out if I waste a lot of money on belts and cards, because we know I've done that in the past. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you next time.
I'm like, I think you guys got this. I will back away, and I will see you all later.
You've got this handled.
Alafi's like, really? You're not gonna help me? Like, it's fine now.
It's like these disgusting creatures breathing down my neck, and you're all just like, I believe in you. You got this.
All right, you seem to have this. 5 minutes.